Linux or systemd, who to blame? Great topic. The answer is both. They have become monolithic giant, rather a Lego-like system. BSOD, if you don't know, blue screen of death on Windows was reduced over years. What about kernel panic in Linux? Apple introduced LaunchD at 2005 with macOS 10.4 Tiger. So what do? We created systemd. Wow, great. If you want to copy something, copy from Minix. How good the driver implementation is, how good the fault tolerance is, how gracefully it can handle kernel panic. The system never hangs even with hardware failure, except the core ones like CPU and memory. Issue on driver, the kernel gets panicked. Issue on network stack, the kernel gets panicked. Logging system, hardware issue, UDEV, it always the system gets hanged. Minix is much better implementation. Minix, the operating system behind the Linux inspiration. Like when Minix was created, there was no Linux. Linux means the Linus Torvalds was inspired by the Minix operating system, and he created a kernel that fits into the GNU operating system. Later on, I don't know how the Linux operating system becomes the Linux operating system. It should be like GNU operating system having Linux as the kernel. There are so many other GNU operating system having other kernel, like you can find Pacman BSD, the Arch Linux inspired GNU operating system having the FreeBSD kernel. If you put multiple functionality in one program, it breaks the Unix philosophy. What is the Unix philosophy? If you search on Unix philosophy, you will find a lot of philosophy and lot of writings, lot of books, especially written by this man Brian. So you forget all those Unix philosophy, but you remember just two. One, the system must be Lego-like system. Like the whole system is combination of multiple small systems and tools and applications, whatever you call. Like if you find any part you want to improve or any part that is not working for you, you just replace that piece only. Let's continue reading. It breaks the Unix philosophy. Let me complete the second sentence. The second one was the pipe system. I think the pipe system must be mentioned over here. Let's increase the font size. Okay, now it's good. It breaks the Unix philosophy. Forget the philosophy. It dismantles the Lego system, what I was telling. And the pipe system already mentioned. You just put multiple Lego and build a big system. Great architecture. Your architecture idea should be clean, simple, and development oriented. Got a broken piece or want to improve just one piece of tool, you just replace the one you want. That is not happening with the systemd or Linux. I wonder systemd can replace bootloader, Lilo, or group. Yes, the systemd also can replace the group. By the way, if you don't know Lilo was my favorite boot manager for Unix like systems, especially the Linux. Okay, let me give you a simple example. The one-liner demo start program. That is the best way. You start from it and you grow it as you like, but don't mix multiple utility, multiple softwares, multiple tools. Linux user base is huge, I know, and the systemd shares more than 90% of those distributions. Yes, like if you find Gentoo, if you find Artix, those are very few distributions still not using this piece of shitty systemd. They tell you like the boot time, the boot process is much lighter, the boot time is much efficient. I don't believe, because I have tested, all works fine. The great example is the Chrome OS from Google. The boot time is fine and it do not use the systemd. As I understand, it is a fork of Gentoo Linux. Okay, let's carry on. Yes, there is a mention of Artix or Minix. Yes, even on Minix, it do not use the systemd. Well, the macOS has launched as PID1. Remember, there is no PID0. It always PID1. I wonder each and every programmer used to use the 0 for the initiation, but here PID1, replacing initd, conn, at, etc. as a unified service management framework. They need it because they want to build their own guard of wall. They want to do like closed wall. By the word framework, okay, framework, I remember there is a company called Framework. They make modular Lego-like hardware. I remember they make great laptops, especially modular ones, easily repairable, plus other benefits too. What Linux does? Linux manage hardware, handles process, allocates memory, provides system calls, talks to device drivers. I think talks to device drivers, manage hardware. Manage hardware, that's it. It should be it as a kernel. What systemd does, it does service manager as systemd. Yes, it is the base. It should serve as a service manager. Logger, I don't agree. Network manager should not be. Login management, wonder why. Timers, that means corn, the whole corn system is garbed by systemd. Device event manager, there are, I don't know what to say. UDFD is the real devil. Boot analysis tools, there are multiple ones. Don't ask me. System shutdown, boot coordination, each and everything and much more. Let me tell you why I dislike the systemd so much. They say I am stuck in past. Maybe they are right, but let me tell you why I hate systemd. Once upon a time, Unix had a philosophy: do one thing and do it well. Small, composable tools. Init started process. That was its job. Simple shell script that you could read, understand, and modify with just like VI, like any text editor, along with some common sense. Then they came the systemd around 2010, I remember, and it took whole distributions like windstorm. Systemd doesn't do one thing; it does many things, and it wants to do all those things. Init, sure. Logging, why not? DNS resolution, absolutely. Mount handling, of course. Network configuration, that's my thing. Time synchronization, device management, con replacement. Why stop there? Let's do window management and each and everything. The Unix philosophy died screaming and nobody heard it over the sound of modernization, following and copying so-called Apple ecosystem. There are so many crimes systemd has made. Number one, the binary log. Remember when logs were just text files? You could grab them, tail them, read them with less cat and send it over SSH to your buddy at 2 a.m. when the server was on fire. Now, binary journals. You must use journalctl. You must use systemd's tool. The data is logged in their format, in their ecosystem. This isn't liberation. It's vendor lock-in wearing a GPL license. They feature creep as philosophy. That is the number two crime I understand. Systemd login, systemd resolved, systemd time sync, systemd network D, systemd home D, systemd home. It never ends. Each release they bring new trend reaching into the operating system. They want to be like the full operating system. Even I understand there is a race between Linux, the kernel, and the systemd. Who wants to be the full operating system, full-fledged operating system? They will provide each and everything. You don't need any other tools. You don't need any other softwares. You don't need a network manager. You don't need a even display window manager. Nothing. I will do everything for you. That is not how you build a full system with a good architecture, as I understand. Want to remove systemd? Good luck. It's entangled with GNOME, KDE, dbus, with half of your desktop environment. It is like trying to remove a tumor that's wrapped around every vital organ. This isn't architecture. It's like hostage taking. Nowadays, the debugging is a pain. If you are a operating system developer like me, you will feel it very much well and good. As I already shown a simple example of init system, like you can make your own init system and you name it my daemon. It's good. If it fails, you know why. The script is right there. But in case of systemd, if it fails, is it the unit file, the target dependency, the socket activation, the dbus policy, the cgroup configuration? Better hope you enjoy reading systemd's increasingly bloated documentation. What it does, it violates the trust. The old ways were transparent. You could see what is happening. You could trust it because you could verify it. You could take a look at it. Systemd, it is a black box of C code, binary format, and opaque behaviors. You don't configure systemd. Systemd, you pray to it and hope it does what you want to do. But the real problem, number 6, it's not that systemd is technically bad. Everything, some parts are genuinely clear. Some parts are genuinely clever. It's that it represents a fundamental betrayal of Unix principles. The coders and the coding are very good, but my issue with the architecture only. What it lacks modularity, simplicity, transparency, choice. Those are not just buzzwords, they were values, as systemd threw them in the garbage in the favor of integration and features. Day by day major distributions are adapting, except few. Those are in line of my views, and the distros fell in line. Debian captured, Fedora flaunted, Ubuntu bent the knee. One by one, they abandoned decade of Unix wisdom for the promise of what? Faster boot times? Have you ever checked? Have you ever tasted? In many terms, I've found it is not the best. Majority of the time, it outperforms other init system minimal way, like 1 or 2%, like 17 seconds versus 16.8. Maybe I am stuck in the past. Maybe the world has moved on and left me behind. But I will tell you this: when systemd inevitably collapses under its own complexity, when the next critical security vulnerability is discovered in its sprawling code base, when developers realize they have traded away simplicity for convenience. See, the convenience is the new currency. You get convenience, you give convenience, you get people. I will still be here running OpenRC, running Gentoo, running Gopi operating system as I am created. By the way, in future, GopiOS will be replacing its internal Linux and Arch related things, but it will continue to support as I get some funds. I will still be here running OpenRC, reading plain text logs, understanding each and every line of my init script. Even better, I start using FreeBSD. I already use FreeBSD and OpenBSD for my servers, but it is little hard to use on a daily driver because of lack of binary blobs, especially for those hardwares, especially CUDA drivers. You don't get a lot of benefit having some special drivers.